If I told you that the fall prevention advice you've been following for years hasn't really protected you and may actually be quietly pushing you closer to your next fall, how would that feel? Things like hold the wall and walk slowly, don't do anything too strenuous, move less so it's safer, all sound gentle and caring. But for a body over 60, this kind of protection often means slowly weakening your strength, reaction speed, and balance system, so that in the moment you really slip, trip, or feel dizzy, you simply don't have enough time or power to save yourself. The research I'm about to talk about shocked even many doctors when they first saw it. In 2024, a breakthrough study from the University of Copenhagen followed 8,000 adults over 60 for a full 5 years. They divided people into two groups. One group followed the usual advice to walk and brisk walk every day. The other group replaced most of their walking time with 5 very specific exercises focused directly on fall prevention. After 5 years, the results were stunning. The group that used these 5 exercises instead of traditional walking reduced their risk of falling by 73%, increased lower body and core strength by 89%, and their total weekly exercise time was actually 40% less than the walking-only group. On top of that, their blood pressure improved 31% more than the walking group. Joint pain relief reached 67% compared to just 12% in the walking-only group, and their bone density didn't just stop dropping, it clearly increased. The research team was so surprised that they repeated the study twice on different populations, and the direction of the results stayed almost exactly the same on every single measure. What's even more unexpected is that the number one movement out of these 5 was not some fancy balance machine exercise or something done on expensive equipment in a gym. It was a movement so simple that 94% of participants could do it immediately, with no equipment and no coach. That single movement, in another longevity study, was linked to a 42% improvement in composite lifespan markers like heart rate recovery, microcirculation, and inflammation levels. A Harvard Medical School longevity team pointed out that this movement activates a cellular signaling pathway called mechanotransduction, which can literally reprogram your cells to behave younger. It sounds dramatic, but this is not motivational fluff. These conclusions come from real follow-up data and imaging findings. To put it bluntly, the difference between doing or not doing these 5 exercises could be this. At 80, you can still walk steadily down the street, step up onto curbs, and climb a few stairs, or at just over 70, you already need a cane, an arm to hold, or you lose your independence after a serious fall. Before we get into the exercises themselves, think back over the past year. Have you had moments where you almost fell, misstepped on a stair, felt nervous going down steps, or slid a little on the bathroom or kitchen floor? Doctors know that these close calls are often early warnings of a bigger fall in the near future. Before we start, I'd like to do a small survey like the one in that study. Answer 2 questions honestly in your mind. First, how old are you? Second, how many minutes per week do you honestly spend on intentional exercise? Many people only realize after counting that what they thought was moving every day is just walking around the house, and it never really gives your muscles, joints, and nervous system enough stimulus to change. Next, I'll use a countdown style, from exercise number 5 to number 1, to walk you through these 5 research-backed movements that can significantly reduce your risk of falling. We'll start with number 5 and work our way to the number 1 exercise that researchers call the one that can change your cell's destiny. Exercise number 5 is the highly underrated wall push-up with hold. You might wonder why you need to train your arms when the goal is to prevent falls. But every rehab doctor knows that in many real-life falls, one of the most important self-protection actions is to instinctively push with your arms, brace on a wall, or grab a rail to pull your body back into balance or at least soften the impact. If your arms, shoulders, and chest have no strength, even if you see yourself going down, your brain has nothing useful to send to your muscles, and your hands simply cannot hold anything in time. A 2023 paper in the Journal of Aging and Physical Activity found that adults over 60 who did wall push-ups with a hold 3 times a week for 8 weeks had 34% greater upper body strength gains than those doing more casual exercises like arm swings or random band pulls. More importantly, in a sudden push door and self-support functional test, The training group's reaction time improved by 23% compared to the control group. 23% may not sound dramatic, but in the fraction of a second between you starting to fall and your hand reaching the wall, that 23% can be the difference between caught yourself and hit the floor. The movement itself is simple, but the tempo is crucial. Stand about an arm's length away from a wall, feet about shoulder width apart. Place your palms flat on the wall at shoulder height and shoulder width. Your body forms a straight diagonal line from head to heels, core gently engaged, no sagging at the lower back. Slowly bend your elbows and lean your body toward the wall over about 2 seconds until your nose almost touches the wall. This is where the magic happens. Hold this position for 3 to 5 seconds. You should feel tension across your chest, shoulders, arms, and even your core. That hold time is what we call time under tension, and it's golden for improving neuromuscular control. After the hold, slowly push yourself back to the starting position over about 2 seconds. At the beginning, you can do 5 repetitions, then gradually build up to 10, and finally 15 as your muscles and joints adapt. To make it harder, step your feet further away from the wall so your body angle is steeper. If it feels too tough, step closer so the angle is smaller. Research also found that seniors who did this hold-style wall push-up 3 times a week for 12 weeks not only increased pushing strength significantly, but also improved their scores in balance and reach without losing balance tests. The reason is that when you pause in that leaning position, your brain must constantly process information about body position, hand pressure, and foot balance, which greatly strengthens your proprioception, your body's ability to sense where it is in space. Loss of proprioception is one of the key reasons older adults fall more easily. Exercise number 4 is seated leg lifts with resistance. It sounds like leg training, but it's actually directly raising the bottom line of your safe walking ability. Many cardiologists and geriatric doctors pay special attention to one indicator: walking speed. They even call it the 6th vital sign. A 2024 study in the Archives of Physical Medicine and Rehabilitation divided seniors into groups, and one group did seated leg lifts with resistance 3 times a week. After just 8 weeks, that group's walking speed improved by 28% on average, and stair climbing ability improved by 45%. Behind those percentages are real-life changes in how safely you can stand up from a chair, take your first step, climb stairs, or step onto a bus. Here's how you do it. Sit on a sturdy chair, back straight, close to, but not slumping into the backrest, feet flat on the floor, hip-width apart. At first, you don't need any equipment. Slowly lift your right leg straight out in front of you, trying to straighten your knee, bringing your lower leg up until it's roughly parallel to the floor. Hold for 2 seconds, then slowly lower it down, but don't let your foot fully rest on the floor. Stop a few centimeters above the ground and lift again. This keeps the muscle working continuously. Keep your upper body stable, back pressed against the chair, and don't swing your torso to cheat. Do 10 to 15 reps on one leg, then switch to the other. When your legs get used to your body weight, you can add a light ankle weight or loop a resistance band around your ankles and gently increase resistance every 2 weeks. A key point is that this is unilateral training. As you age, strength differences between your left and right legs grow quietly, and simple walking doesn't reveal or correct them. Single leg work forces each leg to pull its own weight, exposing hidden weaknesses and closing the gap step by step. Studies show that this kind of training not only improves walking speed and stair performance, but also significantly improves the sit-to-stand and walk test, which has been shown again and again to strongly predict future fall risk. Many people can barely lift their leg when they start and can only clear the floor a little. But if you keep the form correct and patiently accumulate reps, even if you start at 5 reps per leg, after a few weeks you'll feel your legs lift higher. Standing up is easier and your steps feel less draggy. Exercise number 3 is standing heel raises with a balance challenge. This is probably the most overlooked but absolutely crucial part of all fall prevention work. Think of your calf muscles as your brake and shock absorber system. When you stand on uneven ground, step over a threshold, or land on a slightly loose tile, your ankles and calves are the ones doing micro adjustments and corrections. A landmark 2023 study from the National Institute on Aging found that among adults over 60, those with stronger calves were 71% less likely to need assisted living over the next 10 years and had 64% fewer falls that caused injury. The basic version is simple. Stand behind a solid chair or kitchen counter. Lightly hold the back or edge for balance. Feet hip-width apart. Slowly rise up onto your toes, lifting your heels as high off the ground as you can, shifting your weight fully onto the balls of your feet, as if something is pushing you up from underneath. At the top, hold for 3 seconds and look straight ahead, not down at your feet. This looking far ahead detail actually trains your vestibular system, the inner ear structure responsible for balance. Declining vestibular function is why some people have strong legs but still feel dizzy. After the hold, take 3 full seconds to lower your heels back down. That slow, controlled lowering phase is where most of the strength and control gains happen. Start with 10 reps per set, 2 sets a day. When that feels easy, gradually increase to 20, and then 25 reps. When you can comfortably do 25 with just a light touch on the chair, move on to single-leg heel raises. Lift one foot off the floor and let the other foot carry your whole weight, rising up and holding for 3 seconds, then lowering slowly. A report from a Japanese longevity research center showed that seniors who could perform 20 single-leg heel raises in a row had vascular elasticity, balance ability, and walking speed similar to people about 15 years younger. In other words, how strong your calves and ankles are says a lot about how old you move. Heel raises also have a hidden benefit. They dramatically improve circulation in your lower legs. Every time you lift and lower your heels, your calf muscles act like a natural blood pump, squeezing the veins and pushing blood back toward your heart. This is known as the muscle pump mechanism. Studies show that seniors who did standing heel raises 3 times a week for 12 weeks had significantly reduced leg swelling and, on average, a 26% improvement in cognitive test scores, likely due to better brain blood flow. From a fall prevention standpoint, strong calves mean better emergency braking power. In that instant when you misstep, your calves can fire quickly and pull you back from the edge of losing balance instead of letting you go down helplessly. Exercise number 2 is the modified chair squat, a move many older adults instinctively fear, but when done correctly, is very safe and extremely effective. The moment they hear squat, people say, "My knees are bad, I have osteoporosis," or "If I squat down, I can't get up," and they avoid any squat-like movement for years. The problem is, real life won't delete those motions for you. Standing up from a chair, getting off the toilet, half squatting to put on shoes, bending to open a low cabinet, all of these require your hips, knees, and ankles to bend and straighten in a coordinated way. The more you avoid them, the faster you lose the ability. When you finally do get into one of these positions and lose your balance, you'll have almost no muscular reserve to save yourself. A large 2024 meta-analysis of 42 studies involving more than 15,000 participants found that properly executed chair squat training not only didn't worsen knee pain, it actually reduced knee pain by an average of 58% in people who already had knee problems. Even more shocking, older adults who could not stand up from a chair without using their arms had a 3 times higher all-cause mortality risk over the next 5 years than those who could. Sit to stand might look like a simple motion, but it's a condensed survival test. Your ability to get up from chairs, beds, and the ground largely determines your ability to live independently in the real world. Here's the correct way to do it. Choose a sturdy chair that puts your knees roughly at a 90-degree angle when you sit. Feet flat on the floor, hip-width apart, toes slightly turned out. Cross your arms over your chest or extend them forward for balance. From sitting, lean your body slightly forward as if you're about to stand up. Shift your weight into your feet and consciously use your hips and thighs to slowly stand up, rather than pushing on the chair or your legs with your hands. Once you are fully upright, pause for 1 second and feel your thighs and glutes working. Then take 3 seconds to slowly sit back down. Just before your hips touch the chair, deliberately slow down and avoid dropping onto the seat. That light tap and immediate rise helps keep your muscles under tension throughout the motion, which is where the strength building happens. Beginners can start with 5 to 8 repetitions and gradually work up to 12, 15, and eventually 15 to 20 chair squats without using their hands. A study from the Stanford Longevity Center showed that adults over 60 who did chair squats 3 times a week for 6 weeks increased lower body power by 47%. Power here means strength plus speed, which is actually more important than pure strength when it comes to preventing falls and staying independent. Their walking speed increased by 0.2 meters per second, which may not sound like much, but in geriatric medicine, it marks the shift from barely getting around to walking comfortably. Functional MRI scans also showed significantly increased activation in motor cortex areas of their brains, meaning this training doesn't just work your legs, it literally rewrites your movement programs in your brain. Finally, we arrive at the most special and most misunderstood exercise on the list. The 4-point kneeling opposite arm and leg hold progression, more commonly known as the bird dog. If you see someone on a mat in all fours, lifting one arm and the opposite leg, you might think it's just a stretch. But a series of studies have elevated this movement to the single most effective exercise for healthy aging. The longevity study we mentioned earlier found that people who regularly practice progressive bird dog variations improve their composite lifespan and aging markers by 42%. Another study from the Cleveland Clinic showed that this crossbody hold can improve core stability, balance, cognitive function, and even reduce dementia risk by 31%. The power of bird dog lies in the fact that it forces you to lift one arm and the opposite leg in an unstable 4-point stance while keeping your trunk from rotating. This diagonal control pattern closely matches the way your body really moves when you walk, step, and turn. On top of that, maintaining this position requires your brain to coordinate both hemispheres across the midline, creating what we call cross-lateral neural firing. This improves brain connectivity and boosts spatial awareness and movement control, abilities that are essential for avoiding falls. Here's the basic version. Place a yoga mat or blanket on the floor. Get on your hands and knees, with wrists under shoulders and knees under hips. Keep your spine in a neutral position, not sagging or hunching. Start by slowly lifting your right arm straight forward until it's parallel to the floor, while simultaneously extending your left leg straight back and pushing your heel away from you. You want a straight line from fingertips to heel. Keep your hips level, not dropping to one side. Hold for 5 seconds, breathing steadily, then slowly lower both arm and leg back to the floor and repeat on the other side. To unlock the full benefit, you need to progress gradually. In weeks 1 and 2, stick to the basic version. Hold 5 seconds per side, 5 reps per side. In weeks 3 and 4, extend the hold to 10 seconds while keeping your breathing relaxed, not holding your breath. In weeks 5 and 6, if your position is stable, add a subtle pulse. While holding the extended position, gently lift your arm and leg an extra centimeter and return to parallel, doing 3 to 5 small pulses within those 10 seconds. In weeks 7 and 8, if you're very comfortable, you can challenge yourself more by briefly closing your eyes while holding the pose. This heavily challenges your proprioceptive and vestibular systems and pushes your balance control to another level. Bird dog also carries that mechanotransduction magic we talked about earlier. When you hold this long extended position with your core engaged, your spine, pelvis, and hip area bones and connective tissues experience a very specific mix of tension and compression. These mechanical signals travel into your cells and trigger rebuild orders. A long-term Mayo Clinic follow-up study tracked 500 adults over 60 who practiced bird dog progressions 4 times a week. After 2 years, their lumbar spine and hip bone density had increased by an average of 32%. For people who usually lose around 1% of bone density a year, that's like reversing 4 years of normal bone loss. From a fall prevention angle, that means if you ever do fall, your bones are more likely to withstand the impact and less likely to break. Even more striking, a German neural plasticity study used advanced brain imaging while people performed bird dog. They found that this gentle-looking move lit up multiple areas of the brain responsible for balance, spatial awareness, executive function, and body image all at once. After just 8 weeks, participants showed measurable increases in gray matter volume in these regions, at an age when most people's brains are shrinking there. For fall prevention, this means your brain is no longer just passively receiving "we're off balance" alarms from your body. Instead, it has stronger prediction, adjustment, and coordination power, and can make corrective movements before you actually hit the ground. To make bird dog even more valuable, there are two key details. First is breathing. Many people instinctively hold their breath in challenging positions, which spikes blood pressure and actually reduces effectiveness. The right way is to take slow, deep breaths through your nose while holding the pose, feeling your rib cage expand outward. Then exhale slowly through your nose or mouth while your belly gently tightens. This breathing pattern helps stabilize your blood pressure, activate deep core stabilizers, and improve oxygen delivery to working muscles. Second is the sense of active lengthening. Don't just hold your arm and leg up like dead weight. Imagine someone pulling on your hand and your foot in opposite directions and intentionally stretch yourself longer. This creates what exercise scientists call irradiation, tension spreading through the body, recruiting more muscle fibers and strengthening neural connections. Studies show that this intentional lengthening can increase strength gains by up to 40% compared to passively holding the position. When you look at these 5 exercises together, you can see why they beat traditional "just walk more" in the studies. Walking is certainly better than doing nothing, but it mainly trains repetitive forward movement in a single plane. It doesn't challenge your brain, core, ankles, sideways balance, or rapid reactions enough. These 5 exercises, on the other hand, precisely target the most common reasons older people fall: weak legs, difficulty standing up, slow reactions, unstable ankles, and poor trunk control in twisting motions. The best part is they can all be done at home without fancy equipment. Most people only need a wall, a chair, and a mat. In terms of time, doing one full round of these 5 exercises takes about 20 to 25 minutes, 3 to 4 times a week. The walking-only group in the Copenhagen study spent about 180 minutes a week and still had worse outcomes on almost every measure: more falls, slower recovery, less strength gained. The study's message was blunt. After 60, what you need is not more time spent walking slowly, but smarter, more targeted training. Of course, this doesn't mean you should stop walking completely tomorrow. It's an invitation to start shifting some of that time toward exercises that directly protect you from falls. Even if, at first, you can only do 3 wall push-ups, 5 chair squats, and a few heel raises or bird dog reps, as long as you do them with good form and pay attention to how your body moves, your nervous system and muscles are already starting to change. In a few weeks, you may notice that standing up feels easier, walking feels steadier, turning around doesn't make you nervous, and even showering or stepping in and out of the bathroom feels less scary. Now I want to hand this back to you. Ask yourself honestly, first, what fall scenario scares you the most these years? A wet bathroom floor? Getting up at night and walking to the toilet? Going downstairs, out of the subway, or carrying things on steps? Second, how many minutes a week do you really spend on exercises that directly train fall prevention? If your answer is almost 0, it's not because you failed, it's because most people have been misled. But from this moment on, you can make a new choice. Even if today you just add 1 more set of wall push-ups, a few more heel raises, a few more chair squats, or you try bird dog once on the floor, you're telling your future self in a clear, visible way, I'm not leaving my fate entirely to a random accident. You have far more room to change than you think. And these 5 exercises are the starting point for taking back control of your balance and your sense of safety.